So there's like a Black American mob ever since this Eric Adam said he wants the police to be arresting homeless. My mother's daughters framed her as crazy and got her killed herself. So I'm a Nigerian transsexual and I've been getting harassed by xenophobic mob. I'm homeless. The NYPD took my home in 2010 wrongfully. My basement apartment, I was living with my mother. And my friend Arugana was trying to help me and the police want to choke him dead. So ever since then, they took him as soon as I met him and he promised to help me at the same place where I met him, Bay Street on Tiki Boulevard. Then some years later, they were protesting because Trump dropped the Eric Garner's case. They said Emma, the Attorney General, played a game and they dropped the Eric Garner's case for being, they said they forgot to file the case in court. So there was a protest around that time, and on July 20th, 2019, I wasn't even aware they were protesting because I'm homeless on the street. I don't really have access to TV and radio to monitor the news, and the police was trying to set me up and they eventually choked me on July 20th, 2019, and they said another Eric Garner's friend was choked on July 20th, 2019. How is that possible? And they went and locked me up in the psych ward, took my green card, took my social security card from me, and ever since then I've been experiencing something about it. So I normally come here every Saturday as I know as many Saturdays as possible. They have free clothing, free food. This is like the Macy's, you know. And when I got here late on Saturday, September 20, 2025. So they told me the food is finished. They don't have any food for me. I was like, okay. So I crossed the street to get food from this guy. Then one of the guys that normally give out the food, a Jamaican guy, and it was like, and he poked me from behind, like, near my butt, like here, I'm like, okay, don't do that. And I was like, no, I don't want your food. So I got the food from this guy, so I was waiting around for the free clothing. So around September 20, 2025, Saturday. So around 11 p.m., the free clothing people came. So I came here to get the free clothing and a huge black American male as big as Eric Garner. It's like they want to keep traumatizing me, remind me of Eric Garner, And he came and bumped his body onto me and I fell down. I was standing on top of it and I fell down like this. Even my leg has a cramp now. So I'm trying to get the free clothing. I notice anytime we Africans try to get free clothing, some of the black Americans and some of the people, will be very rude to us Africans. So a lot of Africans stop showing up. But I still show up because they always steal my clothing and stuff. So I come back to get more. As a matter of fact, my shoe has a hole. The other shoe I had, they stole it. My shoe has a hole, so I walk around and the bottles go into my feet. I think I may have some bottles in my feet right now. So I've been trying to get free clothing and free shoes. And so today, I guess the black Americans were very jealous, that I may get shoes today. I'm also, since the NYPD, my mother brought me in 2000 as a child, and the immigration arrested me at JFK, so children not allowed with green card holders. My mother had a green card. Normally I wear like a size 13, but this says 14, it was not a 14. It's more like a 10. I'll try to, so, I was actually a 9.5, yeah. So it's too small for me, I wear like a size 13, because, so I can't really wear this, but I took it regardless. If I try to wear it, it's going to like break my feet. I usually wear like a 12 or 13. So this is the old shoe, it's cut into pieces. So there's like a black American mob that jumps me anywhere I go. I'm under the FBI surveillance. So, because when my mother brought me in 2000, I was arrested at JFK as a minor child. So children are not allowed with their green card holders. And I heard they do that to some green card holders. Even if your baby's like a day-year-old, they won't let you here. It's like a racist thing. They say Australia used to do that to, the native Aborigines, take their children away from them, separate them from their children forever. And they said in Canada they used to do that also, take their children away from the native Indians, separate them from their children forever. And they said during slavery in America, they used to do that to the black Americans. As soon as they have a child, and the child is weaned off the mother. They will sell the child off as a slave forever. And teenage. So America still does it. You know, no other country does that. And I would think, don't allow, give people green cards and don't allow them to bring their child here. Even if the child is a deal, said some green card categories don't allow children. So I came here in 2000 and they arrested my Jeff Gill when I was a child, and the case lasted 8 years before I finally got my green card. So in that time, I couldn't go to college. I would always have to drop out because my mother couldn't afford to pay. She had a green card. She was working as a home aide, but she was earning very little pay, like $7 an hour. So she couldn't help me. So, because of that, and the police took my home. So I've been homeless. I get robbed all the time, and so I'm going through a lot of stuff, So around, so on September 20, 2025, so I was waiting around to get clothing. So I believe it was purposely done. I came around 8 p.m. They told me the food is over, So I crossed the street and I said to ask this guy for food. He always sells it to me cheap. And while I was getting food, and one of the Jamaican guys that worked with the Black American guy came and was poking me near my butt with the food, say here, and hit me like in my backside, like, hey, don't do that. I'm like, I don't want your food. The camera here may pick it up. This is camera here. May pick it up. This was, I was like, this is like, they get very sexual. And I noticed that Jamaican guy and the Black American guy, they'll always be touching me. I'm like, don't do that. It's like a fat Black American guy. So around 11 p.m. I came over here. So I guess because I refused the sexual advance of the Jamaican guy, him and the Black American guy working as a team. So the Black American guy is huge, like Eric Garner. I came and used his body, boom, to hit me, and I stumbled and fell, and I started pain in my leg. So most likely the camera here by the missus should pick it up around 11 p.m. I was like, they're just trying to incite violence against me. Since this Eric Adams said he wants homeless to be locked up in psych ward, and the last time they were doing that in 2019, they locked me up in the psych ward, stole my green card, stole my social security card. Since then, it's very hard for me to rent a hotel room. It's very hard for me to go back to work. So I think they're just looking for the final blow, and the person was choking me on the ground. So they see I won't be able to recover if they attack me again, so they want to kill me. So there's a Black American genocidal gang that believe that they can kill Africans under this Trump and get away with it. Even, the James Brown, they started doing, playing his, because me and my mother used to live in a shelter after the police took her home. And one of the shelter guys was a Black American. And we playing this song, payback, motherfucker. You brought me here in chains. Get ready for the big payback. The big pay. So I was complaining about that to lawyers that, look, I need to sue the shelter. They kicked my mother out. And there were some Black Americans that were ganging up against us in the shelter and making fun of us. And there was one of the white guys that work at the shelter, HVD shelter, at the Brooklyn Hotel. This is on 800 East 12th Street, Brooklyn, New York. One of the white guys I was working in the shelter was like, will come there and also make fun of me and my mother. And we'll be asking embarrassing questions like, you heard that Nigerians, there was a time Nigerians were like acting like cannibals. They were eating other Nigerians. During the Nigerian Civil War, there were like people that were starving and they were engaging in cannibalism. The Nigerian Civil War was a very dark chapter in Nigerian history. After they got independence from the British in 1960, there was a civil war that broke out because Nigeria is a combination of tribes that the British brought together to form one country. So after they got independence from the British, some of the tribes wanted to separate and form their own country. So there was a brutal war broke out, and like 1 million Nigerians were killed. And a lot of the Nigerians, some of them, like the tribe, the Igbo that wanted to separate, a lot of them were starving. So like 1 million Nigerians died of either war or starvation. So I was in a shelter and they were abusing me and my mother in Brooklyn in 2010 at the HPD shelter, 800 East 12th Street. And there was this white guy. He would come and be making fun of me. He would come and knock on the door to the room to my shelter. I'll be asking him embarrassing questions. That you're from Nigeria, right? Do you remember? Is it true that you people eat other people? And I'll be asking him embarrassing questions. I'm like, are you a shelter? You're supposed to be helping me and my mother with housing. Why are you asking all this embarrassing question open? So fast forward, and then some of the black Americans will be playing, hate songs in their room by James Brown, singing, "Payback, motherfucker. You brought us in chain. Get ready for the big payback. The big payback." I don't know how to sing that song, I really. And so I was calling lawyers, but I was under FBI surveillance because at that time I just come to America with my mother, and I'd just been released from immigration prison, but my case went on for like 8 years. So I was under FBI surveillance, so, and they say once you're on FBI surveillance from immigration prison forever and ever in America, you're on FBI surveillance. So I was calling lawyers that, there's some black Americans that was making fun of me and my mother in the shelter, and the white guy also that was the coordinator of the shelter, they all kicked us out, hostile. And my mother went to live with her daughter in Pennsylvania, and my mother's address was part of a narcotic gang, Bolanley, and was trying to kill my mother to get score money for drugs and for inheritance scam, and was feeding my mother like synthetic marijuana or counterfeit poison. So my mother's heart was constricting, and she had to run back to New York. And then before, then the daughter also came to New York from Pennsylvania, and my mother was like, who is giving this daughter a location? But the main culprit may be me because I've been under FBI surveillance. So anywhere I'm at, the FBI is aware. So I guess our daughters was with a narcotic gang, like a narcotic cartel. My mother was saying our daughter was moving with a very bad gang. Our daughter was born here in America, so has an American passport, and grew up here in America. So so I guess too, growing up here in America, she met with all this gang early on in her life, and so my mother said she was moving with a very bad gang in Pennsylvania, and it's like, so she's a very awful gang, so they say, some of the gangs doing drugs, they have connection with the FBI that gives them tip-off, which helps them run their drug business. So if there's going to be a raid, the FBI will inform the gang members early on time, so they will dispose of the drugs. So they have snitches in the FBI. Even the Senator Regatta, he also has snitches in the FBI. One of his beauty commissioner that's under arrest or something, Ulrich, said this Regatta used to work with the police in the 1980s. So formed a friendship with the FBI, the bad guys in the FBI. He said this Regatta will always tell his friends if they're under FBI surveillance, and tell them, look, just keep go on the low, throw away your phone. The FBI is coming to raid you. So they say, there are bad people in the FBI, rogues, that always update criminals. So this is how these criminals can run the operation. So they're using. So I'm snitching on this FBI. I want to sue the U.S. government for practicing a slavery type abuse on me. Like, it's against international law to separate a mother and a child. Even there was a British kid last year, the Brooklyn Federal Court ruled they were trying to send the kid back to England. It was a minor child, but the kid wanted to remain here with his father, and the Brooklyn Federal Court ruled that you can't separate the kid from the father. The kid should be allowed to remain in America. So it's against international law to remove a child from the parent while the child is still a young child. So I've been trying to sue. So I believe there's this black American gang, that would rather kill me because I'm a gay, I'm a Nigerian transsexual, I don't have a child, I'm unmarried. So they believe if they kill me, all my property will go to my mother's daughters, or any money, and they each want to sue on my behalf. So they're trying to make me look like I'm crazy, I'm fighting black Americans, and I got overpowered. I said that could also be a very good way to extend the statute of limitation, because normally if you're going to sue the U.S. government, I should have sued them in 2000 when my mother brought me and I was arrested. Now it's 2025, 25 years late. But say you can lie, if you can lie that you're crazy, or if I'm killed, then my mother's daughters will go and lie that I was crazy, busy fighting the black Americans on the street for 25 years. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't file no lawsuit. So I guess that's why the gang members and the FBI guys are hiring these black Americans to find ways to get me angry, sexually abuse me, push me. So it's a team of that always attack me in this area. They have black Americans in other areas that attack me. But on this area, 35th Street and Broadway, they use a fat black American guy that looks like Eric Garner and a Jamaican guy. And they sexually harass me, bump their body onto me. And anytime I refuse advances, like yesterday, September 20, 2025, when I refused the advances, the Jamaican guy came and poked me with a plate of food, and I said, no, take your food away. Then the black American guy, huge, came and bumped into me while I was standing here trying to get some free clothing. And I staggered and fell. And the white guy was pitying me. It was like, if you want to give us the free clothing, he said, are you okay? Are you okay? And I told him, sir, yeah, I'm being jumped by black Americans. It's like a xenophobia thing. And the guy was pitying me because he didn't really realize there are black Americans that don't like Africans. So please, I've been bragged. I was vacated from my home on Staten Island unlawfully in a basement apartment, and since the 1990s, in the Brooklyn Supreme Court, the Legal Aid Society sued for people like me that were vacated in the 1990s, and there was a settlement agreement that we that are vacated from our homes should be given a special status, given special police protection, because a lot of people that were being vacated will be getting robbed, our properties will be getting stolen. Everything I came out of my basement apartment with, from TV to my mother, everything has been stolen from me. Or either on the street, I even put some in the storage, and they did it. Illegal auction during the COVID, even though Como said there's no indoor gathering. I was paying my storage fees. I had a big storage room in extra space storage in Harlem, and another big storage room, American storage on Staten Island. During COVID, even though Como said no debt collection is allowed in 2020, both storages conspired and auctioned off my stuff. I even tried to call the police on the American storage when I found out they were auctioning my stuff. Late, they didn't inform me. I found out late, and I went there. The police supported the auction, said the auction was going on. Even though there was a ban on indoor gathering close to that place, the police raided a bar that was serving alcohol to people during COVID, because the police on Staten Island was like, absolutely no indoor gathering. But for me, they said, they will allow the auction to go on. The indoor gathering is okay. Even though, and I was reminding the police, you can't do that. That you can't do that because I was told them in that 2020 when I called them, I said, I just raided a bar on Staten Island, said indoor gathering is not okay. This Como said that indoor gathering is not okay. And they were like, we don't care. And they allowed my stuff to be auctioned. They allowed my stuff to be auctioned. So I'm sorry. I'm using my second phone to log in. There's this guy called Shannon. I always see him in my head sometimes. It's like aware about my case. It's aware there's a black American gang trying to kill me, and even take my sperm and go create a child, and then claim, when they kill me, they plan to use my mother's daughter to take my sperm and create a child, and then or children, and then claim, in my memory, you can see, in my memory, they want to raise a child in my memory. Say I died an awful death, and they want to create a child in my memory and use that to control my estate after they kill me. So I believe some of the black Americans are aware, and this black American guy, Charlemagne, is snitching. He said, so he has this video whereby he's saying, he was making fun of his host that your dress is awful. He said, bro, my dress. He said, that dress is trash. He said that, this Charlemagne guy. See, He said, it says brother. We're using the word brother. Say brother. You know, and it's going to say something about your organ. Lauren don't even know they want a organ. And I see him in Manhattan also. He always comes by me sometimes, this Charlemagne. So I think they all know, but I guess they're afraid of the FBI. May come after them if they help me get justice. So a lot of the black Americans know. So please, this video was shot 3 hours ago. It's now September 21st, 2025. So that means this video was shot as soon as the black American guy pushed him with his body 3 hours ago, September 20. I think it was shot. Okay, it's now 4 a.m. September 21. So it was shot. It put this video at like 12 minutes or 1 a.m. If it's 3 hours ago, that means at 1 a.m. So for him to put the video on so late after the black American pushed his body on me, so they're using black Americans to provoke me for a fight. And I think this Eric Adams is also aware that some people are planning to kill an African that Eric Garner was trying to help. So Eric Adams knows Eric Garner's family. So I believe he thinks it's fair if his fellow black American is killed, I as an African should get killed also. Because I guess he's jealous that if I remain alive and they don't want the truth to come out. It's like this Eric Adams and maybe the Eric Garner family don't want the truth to come out when I'm alive because they think I'm going to score a lot of money. And they'll be like, why should I live and enjoy all this money? While their own son and friend Eric Garner is dead. So they want me gone also. So this Eric Adams is supporting policies that will get me killed. He said the police should be raiding homeless, that we're all crazy. So what that Charlemagne saying, your dress is trash. He was making fun of his co-host Lauren. He said your dress is trash. They want your, they want your organ. So I believe he's snitching about my mother's daughter, and and the black American gang. So people always so now under the Eric Adams, illegal order, said they should be looking at people's dress and be arresting them. So all my clothing I always get stolen. I used to have a big cart of clothing, because I love clothing and stuff. Even my storage, I had 2 storage rooms. And even I used to beg for money at my former church in the Bronx. I used to donate money there. And they were like, how come you're homeless and you have 2 storages? Like, why can't you get an apartment? So I had I had like 2 bedrooms full of clothing in my storage. And the storage option everything off. I had 1 big bedroom, the size of a real bedroom, storage in Harlem, extra space. And I had another big room like this, in Manhattan, on Staten Island American Storage. So I had 2 storage full of clothing. A lot of times I'll come here back for clothing. There's a church group, when they give me clothing, I'll go put it in my storage. So and so I guess some of the people were getting jealous of me that I was always, dressing nice as a homeless. I'll go to my storage, go to hotel rooms, So in 2019, the police trucked me and stole my green card, stole my social security card. And a year later, in 2020, my storage property was auctioned off illegally. And even this Eric Adams made fun of me. Because back then, as they were trying to steal my storage property, close to 2019, so I have diarrhea. I normally go use the bathroom on Quad Street train station. I would take the 2 train and use the bathroom at Quad Street. Near Eric Adams' office, I thought it was safer because anywhere I go to use the bathroom, the police would invade the bathroom and try to kill me. Especially as people were marching for Eric Garner. So I guess they thought, if they kill me, maybe they were trying to provoke these people marching for Eric Garner further. Even Benjamin Crump, he promised to help me, around that, close to that 2019. And as soon as the police arrested me, stole my green card, security card, he wouldn't help me anymore. He just went dead silent. So I don't know why the black American community, is acting funny. Some of them, like Benjamin Crump, is there, Ghana's lawyers also, and he was saying he was going to help me, before the NYPD arrested me and stole my green card and everything. So now that I'm more vulnerable, the NYPD has arrested me, stole my green card. I can't work as a homemaker anymore. It's like they just think, it's better to just kill this person. Why should we allow this person to live and get all this money? So it's like I think they're all hiding. They all know why Regana was killed, but they don't want to speak out while I'm alive because they believe that's going to make me so rich. Make me an important person in America. And they'd be like, why should an African, since some black Americans are mad that Africans sold their ancestors into slavery and their own ancestors couldn't get reparation, so why should me as an African enjoy anything in America, you know, you know. So I believe this is why some of the black American civil activists are holding up on any information that will help me. They don't want to expose it publicly, So, So this is Benjamin Crumb. He also released videos. He always talks about Nigeria and Africa. And one of the videos he released was at the NYPD making fun of Eric Garner after he died. So remember when so I guess he's posting these videos. I guess he plans to admit, in case when I finally, I think they're waiting for me to get killed, and then he will admit, yeah, we were all aware that African was going to be killed, but we weren't sure if it was real. We didn't want to just intervene, and people would sue us because we weren't. So he's been putting messages all along about Nigeria, about Africa, and things that may pertain to me, so that in case I get killed, they can answer. We all thought that Africa was going to be killed, but we were afraid. If we spoke about it early, people may sue us and say we're lying for libel. It's like they all want me to be as a sacrifice to even change the laws and defamation lawsuit. So they're all aware and they're not helping me on purpose. And they believe I'll be better off as a sacrifice to be killed off. So let me just remember when the supporters of NYPD mocked the death of Eric Garner. His last words, I can't breathe. They and the day they Trump in July 2019, they said people were marching against the Trump administration for not filing the criminal case against Eric Garner's killer and claiming it's Attorney General. I believe the Attorney General name was Barr. I believe at that time 2019, he said they forgot to file the case in court. And Trump has been trying to save his friend Bernard Kerik. Because I believe Bernard Kerik was involved in Eric Garner's death. And this is why I think Bernard Kerik, Trump's friend, was involved in Eric Garner's death. So in 2010, when the NYPD took my home on Staten Island, me and my mother's home on Staten Island, my mother went on WB11. And I think it was a news show at 10 p.m. I didn't have a TV anymore, but my mother was telling me that she was on TV. But I couldn't watch her on TV, WB11, because I didn't have a TV. But a black American pastor told me he heard about my mother on TV. And, I went to his church around that time. So my mother went on WB11 at 10 p.m. news, helped me Howard, and they showed her, and she called the NYPD terrorists that they're terrorizing black lives. So at that time, Trump's friend, in 2010, Trump wasn't president then, but his friend Bernard Kerik was the Homeland Security chief. He was supposed to be investigating immigrants for terrorism after 9/11. George Bush made him Homeland Security chief. Apparently this Bernard Kerik was one of the most corrupt guys. He was stealing money from the NYPD, and I was able to pass the FBI background check. I don't know. This was somebody that was supposed to keep America safe, and he himself went to prison for stealing money from NYPD. He was the former NYPD commissioner. So I guess he was just using that position as a joke and terrorizing foreigners' lives. As the Homeland Security chief, they had the power to follow immigrants around with the FBI. So my mother went on WB11 News to say this NYPD are terrorists, and she may have been right, So they said as soon as she said that, this Bernard Kerik issued a statement to the press, like in Yonando, but it was making fun of me and my mother. It was saying some people are losers that live in a basement apartment with their child. And soon after that, my mother was telling me she was getting phone, always calling 911. I was always getting phone, so I was calling 911. As a matter of fact, I started on Ferry, they'll have people follow me, try to jump me in front of the police, and the police will not arrest them. You know, so I even submitted some of the evidence to the court when I sued the NYPD for taking my home. And Eric Garner, I met him on Bay Street and Victor Boulevard after I sued the NYPD, and he promised to help me with the court papers. And immediately I met him, and he promised to help me. I was recording him on that Bay Street and Victor Boulevard, the NYPD, when I choked him dead. And I said the NYPD was making fun of him that they can't breathe. And they choked him dead on July 17, 2014. My birthday is July 8. But I used to go to another Black American church around that time called Bernard Jordan Ministries in upper West Side, Manhattan. And he used to say, 8 is a very important number to God. That means, it means spiritual awakening, a new beginning. It said 7 means completion, and 8 is a new beginning. So I was born July 7th of the month, 7th month of the year, and 8 on July 8th, which is a new beginning. And people like Mandela also. Mandela's birthday is July 18th, which has the 8 in it. And he was able to stop apartheid in South Africa and bring South Africa to democratic rule. So as soon as I was arrested in 2000 at JFK Airport, they gave me Mandela's prison number in the U.S. immigration prison, 494. So I used to tell my mother that on the phone, and I was under their surveillance. I used to repeat that to my mother, that I was given Mandela's prison number at Robben Island, South Africa. And she told me, God may have a special purpose for you. And she used to tell me, before I was born, a lot of prophets said I was going to be born and I was going to be influential. So, so I believe this is the reason. So the FBI picked that up. So I believe this is why some Black Americans would rather watch me die, because they believe maybe my death will bring freedom to the Black Americans. So it's like you don't want to use it as a human sacrifice, as an experiment. So this is like a spiritual experiment, and this is savagery. The Bible says, there's no glory in death. Even though I believe I'm a Christian also. So the Bible, and Jesus said it is finished with death. When Jesus died on the cross of Calvary, that the blood of Jesus, is enough. Jesus said his blood is enough. So I guess this Benjamin Crumb, are all holding up on helping me and trying to see if I'm killed, maybe this will bring freedom to their fellow Black Americans and they can all win reparation money. Because a lot of them still want to sue for reparation, and they believe maybe my death could cause them. So I guess that's why they're holding up on helping me. And this is savagery. The Bible does not condone savagery. The Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, and love doesn't mean lust. It doesn't mean fake marriage, And some people are trying to lure me to fake marriage also, like all these guys that have been rubbing their body on me. And I think that they're all working with that principle. If this person is killed and we can claim we're married to this person, then that means we get to inherit. They can be the next, king, corrector king, or whatever they want to be. I'm a female. I was born a male, but I guess, So I guess that's what they're all gunning for. And each time I refuse their sexual advance, like that guy hit me with his body and knocked me down. I'm still walking with a limp now, And this Eric Adam, I can't even call 911. This Eric Adam needs to be put in prison, because he said, the police should be looking for a sign of craziness in homeless. And I heard about many Black people calling police and getting killed, So that's why I can't even call the police when the guy used his body to knock me down. Because the Black American guy is as huge as Eric Garner and used his body to knock me, to knock me down, And I believe it was to punish me for refusing the sexual advance, where the Jamaican guy came and rubbed the food. I missed the plate of food they were serving. They said there was no more food. And then they appeared with a plate of food later and came and rubbed it like next to my buttocks. I said, don't do that. So anytime I refused their sexual advance like that, they would try to beat me up. There's a bunch of Black Americans that do that. So I believe this Benjamin Crumb is not helping me, and they just want to experiment on my life to see if I'm killed, if that will bring salvation and reparations to the Black Americans. just as an experiment. There's another black American, you know, he works for as a ticket vendor for the Statue of Liberty tour guide. I normally stand around that area at Bradley Place and Broadway to beg for money and food, near the 4 train, and they use the black American ticket vendor to be rubbing their body on me. They will trying to rub their genitalia on me, always ambush me, accost me, and when I tell them, stop sexually harassing me, they say, shut your mouth, you complain, we're going to punch you and knock you out. I tell them to take it and be quiet, in front of people, and people wonder, like, why are they treating this African like a slave? So, so these are kind of empowered black Americans to be sexually molesting people, and this Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan prosecutor, says not filing charges against black Americans. He says as long as they don't use a gun, they can use their genitalia or whatever. If they don't use a gun, he said it's not going to file a charge. So this is savagery, and also this is against the U.S. federal law, and this is against the ruling by the Brooklyn Supreme Court in the 1990s. They said they were vacating people from basement apartments in 1990 in the city of New York, and a lot of the people vacated, they would rob them on the street of all their belongings. Everything I had in my apartment, me and my mother had, has been stolen from me, and the Brooklyn Supreme Court in 1990s issued a signed off on a settlement agreement for that lawsuit about people being vacated from basement apartment by the city of New York, evicted without a court order by the city of New York from basement apartment. And that order was that, from then on, anybody removed by the city of New York from a basement apartment, the police should give that person special status. If the person experiences any crime, the police has to prosecute the perpetrator. So Alvin Bragg, I've been contacting you, making you aware, and you keep denying me justice and saying if a black American doesn't use a gun, you're not going to arrest them, whatever they do. And this is like some of your black Americans, Alvin Bragg, are using their genitalia to attack me and trying to set up a fight with me. And so you're contravening the court order since 1990s by the Brooklyn Supreme Court that says, I, as a vacated from a basement apartment, I have special status. I'm a special victim, and and there's a special victim unit for victim of sex abuse in your Manhattan prosecutor's office. So as a sex abuse victim, I'm a special victim. I have special status. I believe this is another agreement that says people that suffer sex abuse in New York City have a special status as a special victims unit. I think the Law and Order show always has another one that says special victim unit Law and Order. That's dedicated to sex abuse victims in New York City. So there's no way this Alvin Bragg, you have a law school degree from Harvard. There's no way you don't know about this. I saw you in Manhattan also, and you refused to speak with me. So that makes sense why you refused to speak with me. And your police assistant told me to not speak with you. And you were shaking hands with all the black Americans around. You came in front of the park where normally some black Americans always call the police on me trying to get me killed. Washington Market Park. I don't know whether you came to throw me or not, but this is not right. I may be an African, but I'm a child of God, and I'm not less than anybody. So, please, Alvin Bragg, follow the law. You don't have to like me as an African. You know about Eric Garner. You are representing Eric Garner, and you all thought Eric Garner's death was suspicious. You and Benjamin Crump. And now you have evidence, and you don't want the evidence to get out because you don't want me to enjoy any kind of freedom while I'm alive. And it's like you're all waiting for me to die first so that, I as an African won't benefit before you're not, expose stuff. So please, stop covering this up. I'm also going to forward this video to the International Criminal Court. I'm being jumped by black Americans. They said during slavery, the black Americans were getting raped and they couldn't get justice either. So revenge, sex abuse, there's a war crime, no ethnic group. And they're supposed to put me in a hotel room because the Brooklyn Supreme Court in the 1990s said if anybody's vacated from their apartment by the city of New York, that means evicted by the city of New York without a court order, like me and my mother was vacated. They said if the person experiences a crime after that on the street or anywhere, they have to treat the person as a special victim. Because, it's also an unlawful imprisonment when they bar you from returning to your home. The only people that can return to their home is people in prison. Otherwise, you should always be able to go back to your home, if you're not in prison. And also, not only that, the NYPD arrested me in 2019 and stole my green card, stole my social security card, and my passport has also been stolen. So I'm in prison because I can't travel freely. I can't work, So the only people that can't work and travel freely, and forced imprisonment in America is defined as somebody, holding you against your will, or injuring your movement against your will. So even like a store like this, may see sometimes the police would, hold people up who let them leave, so they're using a fraudulent credit card allegedly and stuff, and the person may file false imprisonment charges. So false imprisonment doesn't mean, they put you to Rikers Island. It's just, barring you from entering your home, barring you from moving freely, which, so the Brooklyn Supreme Court in 1990s recognizes, people vacated and barred from returning to their home by the city of New York as a some final kind of imprisonment, and says, that while the vacate order is on, which is still on, I can't go back to my home still since 2010, said the police should offer special assistance to people like me in case I'm robbed. I can't escape back into my house for safety. I'm out here. I'm getting robbed. So it said the police should prosecute the perpetrators. So I've been bragged now. I'm making you aware. You finish Harvard Law School. I've been contacting your college also, and they don't care either to see if they can, do something and take your college degree from you, because this is a disgrace. Why you choose not to follow the law and and turn it to a lawfare, which this Trump is saying that they're targeting him because it's white in New York. So otherwise, New York is a corrupt place. It's a swamp, and you should be able to get away with crimes. This is what Trump is arguing. That they're only targeting him because it's white. That New York should continue its culture of being a swamp or whatever. And that's his argument. And the court is also rolling back some of the punitive measures against him. Like, for example, Lolita James, got Trump, I believe, convicted of fraud, and it was also fined for $500 million. And the court is rolling back the $500 million fine. Said the conviction for fraud stands, but $500 million is too much. Because it's basically arguing that New York is a corrupt place. Nobody really cares about law and order. And they're just making an example out of them because it's a white guy, and me also, I'm not getting any protection. So, and here's the part, about Trump also involved in covering up the Eric Garner's killing. So back to my story, the NYPD unlawfully evicted me and my mother from a basement apartment in 2010, vacated us. And my mother went on WB11 News in 2010, said the NYPD is a terrorist organization. At that time, Bernard Kerik, Trump's friend, this Bernard Kerik is corrupt. He was stealing money from the NYPD, went to prison for stealing money. But Bush appointed him as the Homeland Security Chief. And this shows how much they care about security, Homeland Security. And he was just using his post to harass immigrants. So as soon as my mother went on WB11 News 2010, the NYPD is corrupt and the terrorists terrorizing black and brown. This Bernard Kerik, I think, found that immediately. And he issued a press statement saying some people are losers that live in basement apartment with their loser child. So he was just making fun of me. I was arrested by the U.S. immigration as a child and, put on FBI surveillance since then. So he was making fun of me. And so my mom was saying she was getting followed, she was getting harassed from then on. Then I met Eric Garner in 2014. At that time, I was suing the NYPD. I finally filed a lawsuit. Immediately I filed a lawsuit, I met Eric Garner on Bay Street and Victory Boulevard. And Eric Garner said it's going to happen with a corporate person. I was supporting Eric Garner. So the FBI found out immediately because I was under surveillance. And they went and killed Eric Garner immediately on July 17th. And that day is 2014. That day is very important because I was going to Black American Church around that time, Bishop Jordan Ministry, Bernard Jordan. And he was saying the number 8 is very significant to God. It means a new beginning. And people like with birthday like July 18, 1918, Mandela, he was able to free South Africa from apartheid. So I was born on July 8th. He said God always uses numbers to send signs. He said so. He said if you're born, if you're born on a double-digit day, like July 17th, So God will add it together. 1 plus 7 equals 8. So it's like you're born on July 8th. So the number 8 is very significant to God. So they went and killed Eric Garner on July 17th, so they were laughing. Even this Benjamin Crump, I showed you that I don't have Wi-Fi right now. I don't have phone service. I have to go closer there to show you the phone, the Benjamin Crump's Instagram page. And he first put a picture of a Nigerian doctor, then a few pictures down, he posted a picture of police officers mocking Eric Garner, say they can breathe. I said Eric Garner was crying, I couldn't breathe, and these police officers, also their supporters, were created a t-shirt mocking Eric Garner after he died, say they can breathe. So I guess I don't know what connotation that means. That means his death. It's making them have peace. Because he was trying to help me. So this Benjamin Crump has evidence in his hand that could help me, and it's not sharing it with the world and explain to the world. So this Benjamin Crump could go down for cover up of evidence. As I'm talking right now, it just hit me that wait a minute, this is making sense, and it's posting all this evidence, and it's promised to help me, and it has since broken ties with me, and it's just putting all this evidence. I guess they're waiting for me to be killed first, so they can use the evidence to get Black Americans reparation, while I get nothing but graveyard. So this is horror, and please, the whole world needs to do something about this. And it's just smiling, and there's nothing really funny or whatever. This Benjamin Crump, there's just too much evidence that they're not trying to, and I get arrested in the bathroom a lot also. I stand up ferry everywhere. They always call the police on me. Even at the Penn Station here, anytime I go to the bathroom, the Black Americans, train workers will come, bathroom cleaners, LRR, will say go back to Africa and call the police on me. And the police will be making an attempt to choke me in the bathroom. So I don't know if this Benjamin Crump has heard I'm going to be hung in the bathroom. They treat me like a child. They say under slavery, they treat blacks like children. You're not a human, you're property. And he talk about a Nigerian doctor. I don't know if he's just taunting me, just throwing all this evidence in my face and not helping me. He said, So at that time, I was suing the NYPD, and this Eric Garner said it was going to help me. And on July 17th, they went and took Eric Garner there. And here's some NYPD officers or their supporters saying, now they can breathe. So that means they killed him, and these people need to be arrested because they may know why Eric Garner was killed. That they were afraid of my lawsuit because my mother had called the NYPD terrorist, and my mother was alive then, and she was going to testify in the lawsuit I filed. And since then my mother has been killed also. Her daughters played a role in killing her, and my mother believed those daughters were moving with a bag in Bolanli and Flora, especially at Bolanli. So here is the police still laughing at Eric Garner after he had died, saying they can breathe, and it was going to help me. He told me I shouldn't worry. He got me. And this Eric Garner said it was going to help him with his money and everything he got. I didn't even need his money. He said it was going to help me free of charge. To go to court. Said it was the civil activist also. Then I found out after that his own mother was a civil activist that knows shouting. So I guess it was raised that way. But as an African, none of them was to help me now. Because this divide between Black Americans and Africans is to stop. So these are all the evidence, and that the Black American community doesn't want to share with the world. It's like they just want me dead because it's like over their dead body, we don't allow an African to get justice. And this is obstruction of justice, and this has to be looked into. So back to my story on why I believe Trump is also obstructing justice for me and Eric Garner. So Bernard Kerik is Trump's friend, and as soon as my mother went to TV station in 2010 that the police took me at her home unlawfully and said the police are terrorists. So Trump's friend at that time, Trump wasn't president in 2010, but his friend was I just stepped on I just stepped on like a bottle. So we're walking around with torn shoes. and I just got pinched by a bottle, you know, and all of my shoes, there's all kinds of bottles, but like a nail, you know. I can't find all my shoes. They're stolen everything. I hope they don't amputate my leg, which would be a war crime. They say when people fight other people, ethnic wars, sometimes they result in amputation. So anytime I'm trying to get shoes, I will get beat up. They just stole my shoe. Oh yeah. I step on the nail as I'm talking. I step on the nail because my shoes low quality. You know, I get old shoes. So I just step on the nail. You know, please one help me. Help me. I'm stepping on nails and stuff. Please, I don't know why I'm stepping on nails. You know, I just want a sharp plate. I could get a tetanus. I'm gonna. I'm gonna send this as evidence. This Alvin Bragg needs to be arrested and Benjamin Crump. You know, I'm wearing low quality shoes and I'm getting attacked by black Americans. I don't know how I step on a nail like this. You know, this has to be investigated. Is that part of people that when people are fighting other tribes, you know, they result in lynching and amputation. In Sierra Leone, you know, people were cutting off the hands of little children to terrorize other people. You know, you know, and my mother said, you know, when she was in America in the 1970s, she had one of her Nigerian friends had a child that was so good in sports. I believe in Brooklyn, used to excel in sports, and the child stepped on bottle and resulted in a tetanus infection, and they had to amputate the child's leg. And so that affected the child's personality forever. The child went from being a sports player, they were even tipping the child that was going to get collegiate scholarship. And so they affected the personality of the child after they cut off the child's leg. So that child, you know, became very reclusive and, you know, was always indoors at home after they cut off the leg. So since then, you know, I've been under FBI surveillance. They said the FBI has secret cameras. Even Obama admitted that when Osama bin Laden, they were looking for Osama bin Laden. You know, they were lying that they don't know where he was, but the American satellite camera picked him up in the Pakistan jungle, and they were watching him for many, many years, just observing how he lived his life. So America likes to spy on their enemies like that, finding out everything about him, whose concubine were, how he was surviving in the jungle, and finally they sent their hitman to just go kill him. So they could have arrested him if they wanted, but they tried to send a sniper team after watching him on satellite camera for years. So I believe they're using a satellite camera on me, you know, and watching me. So anytime I have a hole in my shoe, you know, and then I noticed since I developed holes in my shoe, there's a phone booth I normally use in Queens, and somebody drove a car and hit that phone booth and broke it into pieces. You know, the glass was all over the floor, and they wouldn't, you know, fix the glass for a long time. You know, it's like they left the trap for me to walk into, so I stopped using that phone booth. And when they finally fixed the glass, they left the glass. When they finally fixed that phone booth, they left the glass on the floor to try to entrap me. So it's like this Charlemagne said like was saying in his video, said, brother, they want your organ. You know, it's like I believe they want to. And a guy put a knife on me on the train a couple of days ago. You know, so because I listened to WABC radio, and they said Trump is friends with the owner of WABC radio, and the FBI provides them protection because one of their workers, Curtis Lewa, said the mafia wanted to kill him and shoot him. And some people say he was lying about it, but the FBI, you know, provides security for the WABC radio guys. You know, 7:70 a.m. So I listen to the radio a lot. WABC, right from the time I'm in immigration prison, I listen to a number of radio stations from immigration prison. You know, and so every time I'm listening to the radio, they'll be making comments, you know, I guess to provoke me and stuff. Say immigrants are invaders, you know, if they came here and had an immigration problem, they should be deported and stuff. We need people that will come here lawfully and not people that will bother. They'll be making comments like that, I guess, to provoke me. And then they'll be talking about cancer, cancer and things like that. So I guess they were just getting at me because I have diarrhea. Every time I eat anything, I run to the bathroom, and sometimes I have stomach pain, so they'll be saying cancer, cancer, cancer. I guess they were just hoping, some of the FBI were hoping. I mean, I've had cancer already, and they were saying it's very important to do colonoscopy. It's important to do colonoscopy. So I guess I wouldn't give them the confirmation by doing a colonoscopy. So a couple of days ago, when they were mentioning colon cancer on AWBC Radio, so I just said it out loud. That, I don't have colon cancer. I mean, I said, I don't wash my hands, because I don't have a kitchen. So, and they don't let me in the bathroom. They always harass me in the bathroom. So sometimes I eat food that's not well cooked. So I believe I may have worms. Because they say I'm losing weight and I have a lot of diarrhea. So they say worms, from eating food that's not well cooked. Some of the food I buy or I'm given is not well cooked. And sometimes they even give me meat that's not well cooked as a prank. So I've developed worm. So I said it out loud. I don't have no colon cancer. Anybody wishing me colon cancer, I say back at you. I said, whoever's wishing me colon cancer, I said back at you. I said, please, I don't have any colon cancer. I mean, just have worms. Worms causes diarrhea. I've been losing mad weight. Also. The more I eat, the more weight I lose. I said worms causes people to lose weight and stuff. And immediately I said that, a few hours later, I was on the train, and some Spanish people were following me on the train. They was sitting on me on the 4 train. So, and when we got to the last stop in the Bronx, I was headed there from Manhattan. When we got to the last stop on the Bronx, I know some police officers were already waiting where I would get off at. And before they could tell me to leave the train, I quickly got off because every kind of said, no more sleeping on the train, that you have to be awake and be getting off at the last stop. So, they torture me like a war criminal, and they said that's the best way to make somebody crazy. It's a war crime. You can't even deny prisoners sleep. So they took my home, chased me out of the hotel me and my mother was staying in, and they don't let me sleep at night. So this Adam said no more sleeping on the train. Said no more sleeping on the train. So if you're caught sleeping, the police will throw you out. So they don't let me sleep at night. So this Adam wants me to die so that they can release the information. I guess they're just waiting for me to die. They can release the information that they got a lot of proof that the NYPD killed Eric Garner on purpose, and they hope to win reparation for every black American. And I hope I don't get nothing. I'm dead in the grave. So as soon as I said, please, I was listening to the BBC radio and they were saying something about colon cancer, we should get a colonoscopy. So I said out loud, anybody wishing me colon cancer, back at you. I don't have no colon cancer, knocking on wood. I'm not superstitious, but, sometimes I just say things like that, knocking on wood, And so I said, I don't have no colon cancer. I said, anybody wishing me colon cancer, back at them. I said I may have diarrhea. I said I may have worms. I said anybody listening to me through any surveillance, stop taunting me with your surveillance information. I said that's not the rightful use of surveillance. Stop trying to drive me crazy. They say in Guantanamo Bay prison, you arrest foreigners. Some of them are not. They say allegedly are not even terrorists. They said they were being framed up, but some of them were terrorists for real. And I said, you torture these foreigners, don't let them sleep until they become crazy, and some of them will kill themselves. So I always speak that. So any surveillance tape picking me up, I'm saying your recording of me is unlawful, and I want the court to note this and arrest all of you listening to my surveillance and not helping me to whistleblow. Because if you're a federal worker and you see they're using the surveillance to kill people like Eric Garner, I said if you're listening to my surveillance, and I said the court has to subpoena my surveillance record. I'm going to keep posting videos and send it to civil activists. That in case I get killed, they have to subpoena my surveillance records and bring it to court. And all of the FBI agents listening to my surveillance and didn't help me as I was getting sexually abused and didn't arrest those black Americans sexually abusing me, including Sarah Garner. They should all be tried for cover-up of the crime so they would know. Nobody's the slave. So I always speak out because I know I'm under FBI surveillance. So in case I die, a lot of the FBI go to prison. So I believe some of them may be working with my mother's daughters to traffic me out of America. So I don't die here. So they can then claim, okay, this person didn't die in America, so American law doesn't apply. And just cover it up. So on that day I was listening to WBC radio, and I think they mentioned colonoscopy, that people should go and get their colonoscopy. So I was speaking out loud. I said, I don't have no cancer. Stop trying to lure me to go get colonoscopy. I may have worms. Okay? Then some hours later, I got on the 4 train, and I thought I was just going to have a peaceful night's sleep. And I was sleeping on the 4 train, and these Spanish guys came, and they were actually real weird. And started near me, and I started recording them. One of them puts his, turned his back on me like this, was poking his butt at my face. I saw something on my camera. The other guy fled and went and sat somewhere. To make it less suspicious. So I was recording them, and they were spitting. I was recording, and then the train got to the last stop. So I decided to get off the train to just avoid those guys. And the police was already waiting. So I guess they thought I wouldn't get off the train, so they can kick me out of the train, say I'm disobeying Eric Adam. Eric Adam is the new king of New York, and it's going against Brooklyn Federal Court. I said the police can't just be profiling blacks for any minor thing. So it has to be a serious crime. But Eric Adam said he doesn't care. It's going to contravene the Brooklyn Federal Court order from 2013, November, and said the police should be following people that are black and poor, and even your sleep, they should be intruding your sleep. And throw you out of the train. This is the king of New York, and he said this is the Black American child. He said his people, his ancestors will be happy. This is not the Black American child. And he's trying to get me killed with his police force. I think he has impunity as a Black American. The whole world wouldn't care about an African. So this is ethnic hate. It's a war crime. And some other sympathizers like Spanish people are joining in also. I don't know who's hiring these Spanish guys. Actually, I was spitting on the photo, and one of them turned his butt at me. So I waited till the train got to the last stop, because I have it in my bag, and I was so tired. It was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So I was like, let me just wait till the train gets to the last stop, and I'll leave the train. At some point, I left the train, went to the next train car, and I noticed they had already spit in the next train car because they knew I was going to flee, because they were bothering me, and so I couldn't stay in the next train car. So they had already spit all over the next train car. So at the last time, I finally got off, and before I could get off, the police was already surrounded the train car, the exit where I would get off at. And as soon as I got off the train, I think that the police officer decided to incite violence against me, and they were saying, "What's up, man?" or something like that. So I said, "I'm not a man, I'm a woman. Please stop bothering me." Then I went into the train, the next train, because this Ricardo said at the last stop, people have to be changing trains. That your unlimited ride doesn't even unlimited. So I changed the train at the last stop. It actually said people have to leave the train station, but sometimes they'll just let you slide. It's just trains. Even though I had an unlimited car, I guess they were trying to avoid any legal fraud charges, because if you have an unlimited car, it's wrong for them to throw you out of the train and make you swipe again. Because unlimited ride means unlimited ride. So now they just enforce it as you have to switch train cars at the last stop so you don't sleep. Stay awake. Like a war crime. So FIFA, this is the America that's going to host the World Cup, but driving Africans crazy. So I changed train cars. It was 2 a.m. I was tired. They make me awake all day long, and they say you can die that way. A kid died of exhaustion. Here in America, it was playing video games. It was like a video game challenge with his friends. Who could stay awake the most, I believe, or something like that. And instead of 24/7 playing video games, and instead of collapsed on his bed, it was like a teenager 12-year-old and died. So being awake all day long, so they're trying to lure me to death. And in case they kill me, so that person was just stupid. Ain't nobody told them to be awake that long, But they're bringing policies to keep me awake forever, so we just collapse and die. I guess they have all the evidence to help me, but they don't want to help me. It's like they're like, never would we allow an African out of our own civil rights work or whatever to benefit. So they're just waiting for me to drop dead already. And they have this rich black American guy. Yesterday, September 20, 2025, and came and hit me with his body like boom, and I staggered. And I think even this nail must have been and poked me further because I've been having severe pain. The white guy just pitied me. It's like, I'm so sorry. I said, it's okay. Some black Americans don't like Africans. And he was in shock. It was, so I'm a victim of reverse discrimination. I was like, I'll give you extra stuff. I said, it's okay. And the camera was recorded. And the cameraman has picked up his license plate and they need to contact that white guy. Because ethnic abuse by this Eric Adams and his black American gang, the one is to know about it, they don't let me sleep at night. And I'm sorry for your slavery, but killing me is not going to bring you any good luck either. So it's just so much. So I'm trying to go back to how Trump is involved. So I'm being attacked by black Americans and white Americans. But let me finish the part of where they wanted to kill me on the train. So I'd already spoke out loud on some days ago before I got on the 4th train that this ABC News stuff, talking about colonoscopy or whatever and stuff, I don't have colon cancer, so I was tired, so let me just go get some rest. I'm really stressed out, because they didn't let me sleep well, so I was like, so I went on the 4th train, and apparently they don't want me to sleep on the 4th train either. So some Spanish guys came on the train in the Bronx, Manhattan area. I said, and I woke up with a sound of spit. I was like, uh-oh, here we go again. So I switched train cars, and the rest spit all over the next train car also. So I was just waiting for the last stop so I could change to a new train. And as soon as we got to the last stop, the police was already waiting. So those Spanish guys were working with the police, as so we're not going to let this person sleep. This Ricardo want this person dead, and we're going to keep troubling this person to fucking die. I'm so sorry to curse. As soon as we got on the as soon as we got to the Bronx, Woodside, I believe, Woodlawn. Guess who's standing by the train door where we exit from? 2 white police. And I'm like, uh-oh. Out of all the way you could stand, you're standing at the train door where we exit from. So I thought I wasn't going to get off so they can kick me out of the train. So I was disobeying the rule. So I was already, so it was pre-planned. So as soon as I got up, they were standing by the door and it was like, what's up, man? I'm not a man. Stop trolling me. Stop trying to aggravate me all night long. As I'm recording y'all, I started recording them. So I went to another train, and those Spanish guys that were spitting on me followed me to the other train. I said, oh no. I said, you guys want to keep me awake all night long to kill me? I said, oh no. I said, stop following me around. I said, police. These guys have been spitting on me. They want to keep me awake all night long. They've been coming close by me. They won't let me sleep. They were poking their butt at me, spitting at me. I said, just want to keep me awake all night long. I know I'm like aware. Ricardo said no more sleeping on the train. But I don't need these Spanish people to spitting in my face, poking their butt at me, and they're poking at me with their butt and stuff. I said, no, this is sexual abuse. And the person said, just leave them alone, go find another place to sit on. So you leave them alone. I said, no, stop the reverse psychology. They leave them alone. I said, okay, and y'all weird. I said, I'm going to report y'all. I'm going to report y'all to your Inspector General Police. Because you're setting Africans out and claiming we Africans are the one bothering you in America. I said, you're weird. I said, I'm reporting. So I went and sat in another train car. As soon as I sat in another train car and stuff, so I was telling people on the train that please, they told me I'm going to be killed like Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely was a black American that was complaining on the train that is fed up, the people are making his life is so difficult, his mother's been killed, and the white guy snuck behind him and choked him dead. And since everyone telling me we're going to kill you like Jordan Neely also, because the MTA I set up a team to be harassing homeless on the train, and they also got me choked in 2019. They also harassed me on the train. If I go to use the bathroom, that team will come. They're a bunch of Spanish thugs, black American thugs, and their purpose is to harass you and get you in trouble, and get you beat up and killed, or whatever. So the MTA has a team. They said, an MTA worker told me that. Said, very wrong for your life. The NYPD told us to set you up. The NYPD and MTA told us to set you up and get you killed. You know, sometimes when I'm using the bathroom, that team will come, carry my luggages, and throw it in the train track. You know, just it's told us to be bothering you and call the police on you. So you and lie on you. So you're an African, you're wild African. You know, and you need to be tasered and chained. So like you're a monkey. And I thought those black Americans were just mocking me. So the FBI service was recording it. You know, I was like, no way, stop making stuff up. So I didn't really believe that. I just thought the people bothering on the train were just, were just bullshitters that had nothing better to do. So I'm an African, so I never really knew the hate problem in America is that severe. People try to kill people just for the fun of it, based on difference in ethnicity. You know, so for real, I've been set up by the MTA, locked up in a psych ward, choked, my green card stolen in 2019, my social security card stolen. So this French guy started following me around on the 4 train, spitting at me and stuff, and the police wouldn't help me. So I got on the next train car, and I was talking about it to people. Said, please, people, I was telling them if you can donate to my Cash App. My Cash App is NYC Homeless. And I said, please, help me share my video. You can watch my video through my YouTube. You can find my name on Cash App. So I was saying all that, and then as I was talking, a few stops, this Spanish guy came on the train and was heckling me as I was talking. Said, shut up, and then at some point he come towards me. He said, you need to fucking shut up, and then he pulled out a knife, and I was recording everything. So I quickly dropped my phone when he pulled out the knife, and it was like, and he was provoking me. And he was grabbing me, touching my body, So when I tell you to fucking shut up, you fucking shut up. And he walked towards me with a knife. And I was like, and it was accosting me. He wouldn't let me go. And he had the knife in his hand. And I told him, take it easy. And he had a knife in his hand. I said, and it was harassing me. I harassed him and wouldn't let me go, held me prisoner. I said, don't use the knife, please. And my phone was on recording. I said, don't use it. It's on my YouTube. So don't use the knife. You have a knife in your hand. And he put it, the knife, he put it in a purse. I've never seen that kind of thing before. So it was, and when he reached for his pocket and he opened the purse, I thought he was just going to bring out a police ID. So you see, I'm a police officer. He had like a man purse. And and he opened up the purse, and it was a knife, shining, sharp knife. It was going to butcher me into pieces. And I believe he may be working with my mother's daughter's gang, narcotic gang, because the FBI must have told them that, look, we don't think that person has cancer. We think that person is going to live forever. That person just has worms. So they were going to butcher me that night, and then leave me in coma. So my mother's daughter would ship me to Nigeria and say, look, this person has been butchered already, so they don't want me alive, because I think they're afraid if I die in America, because I've been posting that if I die, they should subpoena all my FBI surveillance, and all the FBI guys have been listening to me since I was arrested by immigration in 2000, and didn't help me, and my mother killed, and Erugana killed. They should all be put in prison for cover-up of evidence, so I believe this this FBI, working with my mother's daughter, which is like a narcotic gang, so like, and when I say, look, I don't, because I heard like if someone has colon cancer, the person would die really quick, like you don't live too long, and they've been seeing me lose weight, so they were happy, like, we don't even have to kill this person, just keep troubling them, and they're gonna die of the colon cancer very soon. So when I say I don't have colon cancer, look, worms can cause all the symptoms. And I'm just trying to get the FBI and the surveillance team from thinking I'm going to die soon, and thinking they're going to get away with abusing me. I was just trying to get them, so I was saying out loud, I don't have colon cancer, don't think I'm going to die soon, and I'm going to get you all in court as soon as I get a lawyer. And they had a guy bring out a knife. Then I pulled the emergency brakes and stuff. Then finally the guy left. You know, I guess they knew that FBI surveillance was recording, so I was saying things. I was incriminating him. I was saying, "You have a knife on you. Please don't use your knife. I'm not looking for a fight. Please stay away from me. Please leave. Please leave." Yeah, I think at some point I said, "I'm under FBI surveillance. I'm an African. If you use your knife, you're going to go to prison." So I was saying things so the FBI surveillance pick it up. I think I even said that. I said, I'm an African. I'm under FBI surveillance. If you use your knife, you're going to go to prison because I'm saying I'm not bothering you. You're walking up to me. So I was saying everything for the FBI surveillance. So indirectly the FBI surveillance saved my life. So I said, you're not going to escape this. So just walk away. I said, just walk away. I'm not your lawyer, but by walking away, you may escape. But if you harm me, the FBI surveillance, I think I was saying that. Either I was saying it out loud, I was so traumatized, but I was just saying things. I was open, the FBI surveillance will pick up what I'm saying. So this is a land of terror and trauma, and this is not nice. This is not what America should stand for. The world wouldn't even believe this either. These bad guys like Eric Adams and the FBI were turning to a land of terror, and and then I told him, look, there's a camera in the MTA trains now, spy camera. I said, it's recording everything. You walked up to me with it and brought out a knife, and you're accosting me, you're touching my body, and you're pinning me, and you're too close to me. I said, you just walk away, because you're not going to escape, And I thought I was going to have a nervous reaction, and I was going to hit him first so he can stab me dead. Probably they've trained him with all kinds of shiatsu, judo, and everything. And they would claim, he approached me with a knife, but because I wouldn't shut my mouth, and it was just going through emotional problems, and they were just trying to get me to calm down. And they were hoping it would kill me like Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely was killed by Diana Penny, and as soon as he killed Jordan Neely, he said, when people kill blacks in America now, he said they will get $5 million donations. So... And so it's a lot of the lighter skinned people that are using them to try to kill me also, Spanish, like white Spanish people, they're using them to try to kill me also. Because that's the new thing. They say when the dark skin or black person is killed in America, the white person that kills them will get like $5 million donation. So I believe they brought this Spanish guy to kill me, like my mother's daughter's gang. I was going to butcher me to death. It was going to get me nervous, and he was smiling and walking towards me. And when I was walking towards me, he was laughing and smiling. I saw his face was happy. So I was like, why is this guy walking? It was been heckling. I thought he was just coming close to me. Later, I thought he was just making fun of me. I was just going to leave, And while he was smiling and stuff, all of a sudden he changed his mood and brought out the knife, and I saw his face was very demonized. I guess they set him up. So just make this person panic and stab them to death, and we're going to claim, this person was crazy. The mother's daughters will come to court and say this person was crazy, quite alright. I was going to say some good killing or whatever, or leave this person in coma so the body can be shipped to Nigeria, and where the further killing will occur, the Nigerian government will be so pleased to get dollars also. As soon as we get the dollars, we give it to Nigeria. The Nigerian government is the most corrupt government in the world. I've been sending them videos also, about what is happening to them. That my daughter has a gang, and they've killed my mother. Our passport, Nigerian passport, everything has been stolen. My passport and everything has been stolen also. And the Nigerian government promised to help me when I first spoke with them. And the Nigerian embassy, while I was locked up by the NYPD on false charges, they framed me as crazy. In 2019, locked me up, took my green card, and at the hospital, and they lied that they saw me on the street. I didn't know my name, I didn't know my date of birth. I was just roaming the street, bothering people, And so I told that hospital, look, I've been coming to this hospital. I said I have so much wound. People have been punching me since my mother. I said since my mother went on WB11 News to call the NYPD terrorist. I said my life I've been getting jumped. I said there was a time a guy who was on a gang accosted me and punched me in my mouth. And when they finally arrested the guy, it looked like the guy that punched me and stuff. I was like, I don't know who gave the guy my location. It said some of this FBI are rogues. I said the guy, even killed some Arabs. Killed some Arabs, and the first thing is ask me what country am I from, and punched me in my mouth. So it was killing foreigners. And when I arrested him, he looked like the guy that punched me in my mouth and broke my teeth. And I went to the hospital, and the hospital wouldn't help me. So I said, look, since my mother called the NYPD terrorist, I've been getting terrorized, and nobody would help me. Either, I said, now this is a good chance for you to help me. I said, can you please help me report this NYPD guys? I said I was on the street. It was July 20th, 2019. And I was getting bothered all day long. When I tried to use the bathroom, they empty as a gang that will accost me in the bathroom. They will grab my bag while I'm using the toilet, take my bag and throw it in a train track, and trains will run over my back. And when I called 911, the NYPD would shake their hands and say, thank you, team. I was like, thank you, team. And we'll hug these people, and we'll say, with no police report for you. And I was like, the FBI surveillance is picking it up, because I've been on the FBI surveillance. I said all kinds of weird stuff. I said, at that time, Trump was president in 2019. I said, and the hospital said, we're not going to take you serious. We're just going to go with the lie that you don't remember your name, you don't remember your date of birth. I said, you just walk with us, and, and that's what, but if you don't cooperate with us, we have, you're not going to survive. So I started calling New York Daily News, New York Times, Nigerian Embassy. I'm being held, I'm being accosted, I'm being taunted in the NY Psychiatric Hospital, and the Nigerian Embassy called me back and said they're gonna, help me, and they never helped me. So they were gonna get my, give me a new passport and give me money to go find a place to live. I was like, they wanted me dead also, and they never helped me. Now when I called them, they hung up the phone on me. So they said Nigeria is broke right now, and the oil money is not coming in as it used to. And I guess they are hoping if I get killed after 25 years of suffering in America, it's going to result in billions of dollars of payment, and that money will be transferred to Nigeria because I'm married, I don't have a child, and so they can claim, and say when you die like that, all your money will go to the next family member, next of kin. So I guess I get killed. No family member or friend should inherit anything from my estate. Only civil rights activists should administer my estate and get justice for me and my late mother, and give the rest out to charity, and donate the rest to charities for those suffering xenophobia like me and my late mother. And people being deported by Trump should be prioritized. So the guy tried to knife me on the train, I guess, to get my body shipped to Nigeria. So I guess this is what this Charlemagne is talking about. So I guess my mother's daughter's gang, they were working with the NYPD on the 4 train, and they were just trying to get me knifed so my body would come out to body be shipped to Nigeria. So they would claim, so absolutely no way should my body be removed from America if I'm disabled or killed or whatever. I'm not looking to have a child, and under the rights of sepulchre, people's wish when they're alive should be honored even in death. Like even in Ghana, they have this weird stuff whereby if somebody is killed, if somebody dies, I was reading about it online, and the person wants to be buried in a car, they will bury the person in a real car. So every country respects the right to sepulchre. So in case I'm killed or whatever, I don't want any family member to participate in my funeral. My mother said when she was alive, she reached out to her family in Nigeria, Canada, England to help us with money, and none of them will help. So she was like, in case she dies, I should only reach out to strangers for help. And my father also was abusive to me. He has family all over the world also, but I don't it's not deceased, my father, but I don't trust his family either. So this is what is going on. And sometimes I go to the Penn Station to use the bathroom, but I was listening to WABC radio today, September 21, 2025. And they were saying, we're already there waiting. And a lady called the phone, and I was speaking, so we're already there. So I feel like using the bathroom right now, so I'm not going to go to the Penn Station. So they have some black Americans that always call the police if I try to use the bathroom at the Penn Station. So now this Charlemagne guy, I'm gonna go back to his video that says Charlemagne's giving Unc on stream. So my mother, daughters, Bolale, especially after has children. They have children. And sometimes after I'll be trying to get me. I've never seen a child before because I've been estranged for them. Because when my mother brought me to America in 2000, and my mother went and dumped me there in their house, because my mother went and dumped me in their house because at that time, as soon as I came out of immigration prison in 2000, and my case was continuing. My mother was living in one room, so when I came out of immigration prison, the landlord wasn't happy that two people can't be in one room and evicted us. So my mother went and dumped me in Pennsylvania and lied to me that we're going to Pennsylvania real quick. She had something to get there. So I went with her around 2001. And when we got there, I noticed my mother was going back into Flora's car. And I was like, what about me? And so I was trying to enter the car. So I said, no, you're not going to, you're not going to New York again. I'm like, excuse me, are you holding me hostage? Yeah, and she drove off and hit me, and I was on the floor, and people were wondering, like, what the hell is going on, what, did they just run this person over with a car? Then Flora said when my mother drove away, then Bolale called the police, I had a weapon, I just attacked them, and the police in Pittsburgh came and surrounded the area, and people were watching, the other people in Pittsburgh. It's on 636 Industry Street, in 2001. I'm sure people still remember that incident. There's a number of people that some of them sell drugs and whatever. Oh, I'm just assuming this is a poor neighborhood. It's like the hood or whatever, mixed. And they were all in shock and like, wow, what, is this a drug bust or whatever? So they were all watching as my mother's daughter ran me over with a car. That's Flora, and drove my mother, and they kidnapped me, held me up, at gunpoint. They called the police, and that Bolani called the police. She used to work for a law firm that deals with criminal cases, so she knew how to set up people. And at that time, Diallo just got killed in 1999. So she always told me it's so easy to get somebody killed by the police in America. And she always repeats that, like, okay, it's like so easy. You can easily frame somebody up. And then she did it to me. She and her sister planned with my mother. So they were just going on. I had an immigration case then, and I guess my mother was fed up already. So she tricked me that she come to Pennsylvania with her, that she has something to go get to Pennsylvania real quick. The landlord I just evicted us from our home, the one room we were in New York City. So my mother was just didn't want to get stuck with me. So she told me I should come with her to Pennsylvania. She has something to go pick up in Pennsylvania. And I was like, why can't they mail it too? So she doesn't want to wait for it to get it in the mail. So I was kind of suspicious of her. I was like, well, if you have something you need to get in Pennsylvania, what kind of message? She needs it right away. So we're going to go real quick and come back real quick. So I got on the, I got on the bus with her, because even when she came to pick me in Nigeria, she told me, my status is okay, I should follow her on the plane. And when I got to JFK, I got arrested. So I was afraid of going with her anywhere. I was like, I hope you're not setting me up again. I've gone through enough trouble, And when I came to JFK with you, I was arrested. They didn't arrest you, they arrested me. I'm trying to be set up. I'm just saying, I'm just like, no, come with me to Pennsylvania. I'm not sending you up. I promise you, I'm not sending you up. So come with me to Pennsylvania. I'm just going to get something real quick. We're going to come back to New York. It's going to be okay. And she broke down crying, so I'm not sending you up. So I believed her. And as soon as we got to Pennsylvania, I was trying to get in the car with her because our daughters they're very violent. They beat up the wife's family. My mother placed them with in Pennsylvania, and they put them in juvenile. So I didn't want to stay with them either. So as soon as I tried to get in the car with my mother, that Flora, hit me with the car and drove away, and I fell on the floor. And I didn't have any status, so people were just wondering why they treated this Nigeria like an animal. Then the other daughter, they both have U.S. passport, called the 911. They were born and have U.S. passport. I'm a Nigerian transsexual, I didn't have nothing. And America has to stop using your U.S. passport to treat immigrants like animals. You know, this the International Criminal Court, you gotta pick this up. The black Americans and Nigerian Americans treating immigrants like animals. you know, so, that Bolani called 911 and lied on me and said, I had a weapon, I was terrorizing her, with my weapon, and the police arrived, and they wouldn't even believe me. I said, I just got hit with a car. I said, I'm being set up, I'm a Nigerian, so they took me to the psych ward, and the hospital's name is, what's the name of that, Mercy Psychiatric Hospital, downtown Pittsburgh, Liberty Avenue. I guess in the ambulance I was able to see the street name. I didn't even know where they were taking me to. They put me in the ambulance. But, so I didn't even know where they put me in. I was locked up there. And that was my view of America. From a guarded window on the top floor. I didn't even know where I was at. I know the name of the hospital was Mercy Hospital. And they treated me like I was crazy. And I showed them, look, I'm an immigrant. I'm being extorted. Like I said, my mother's daughter was just trying to kill me, and so that they can get money, like Diallo, And I told them, and they wouldn't believe anything I told them. So I told them, look, I have an immigration case I need to return to in New York. I said, you can call the U.S. immigration to confirm. I said, absolutely not. And so they called. I said, we don't even believe, So your mother's daughter said you're crazy. She told us, you're lying about having an immigration case. I was like, so to me, but I'm not going to call the U.S. immigration to try to verify. Because we think you're crazy. Your mother's daughter is just crazy, making up lies. So we're just going to increase the medication we're giving you. So I said, no, please. And so I called my lawyer, Ralph DiPietro, and he answered the phone. And he told them, yeah, I do have an immigration case, blah, 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 And then the hospital apologized to me, and they said they didn't believe, they were like, they didn't know that my mother's daughter was fooling them all along. And they was just trying to get me killed so that she can sue and get money. And, she was like she has like a narcissistic personality that says it's very easy for black women, women to abuse people in America and get away with it. Because they always focus on males and transsexual as the problem. Like this Trump is saying, he was saying, since I've been trying to get him arrested also, the FBI has been playing all kinds of games, and now they're saying, this guy, what's his name? Charlie Kirk was killed by a guy that loves transsexuals. I don't know what to believe, because I've been framed up in this country so much, locked up in a psych ward in 2001 by my mother's daughter that lied, and so they said the FBI always, uses psychological warfare on people, and I've been trying to get some of the FBI guys arrested for unlawful surveillance of me from the immigration service, and all of a sudden there's this dehumanization of transsexual and gay community. I just want everything investigated. I want the court to investigate this. I'm not saying anything. It could be true. That guy that lost transsexual killed Charlie Kirk. It may not be true. I don't know what to believe. If it's true, I'm sorry. Nobody should be killed that way. That's very awful. But I've been dealing with so much lies from my mother and from my mother's daughters. It's very hard for me to believe anything. I'm really, so, and so in 2001, my mother's daughter Bonnie did that to me, framed me up, got me locked up in a psych ward. And 14 years later, did it to my mother also. My mother said that daughter has now deteriorated by 2015. When my mother went to live with that daughter, because the shelter my mother was living in Brooklyn, they chased us down, and she said that daughter was putting like narcotics or synthetic marijuana or antifreeze fluid in her food, and was causing her to have symptoms of a heart attack. So my mother got on the Greyhound bus to come to New York, and when she got here, they put her in Bellevue Hospital. On the way here, she had to stop the Greyhound bus to call the ambulance because her heart was congestion. And when the bus driver pulled over, close to the New Jersey, Pennsylvania border. But before the ambulance arrived, my mother told the bus driver to keep driving because she was afraid of being sent back to Pennsylvania. But she said that daughter was moving with like a narcotic gang, and she was afraid they were going to kill her in that hospital. The narcotic gang would tell the doctor to just kill her. And she was afraid, things would be covered up easier in Pennsylvania, so she thought in New York she would be safer. So she said, my mother said she started eating aspirin because my mother works as a nursing assistant. So she said that the congestion got lessened, and then my mother got to New York. I went to Bellevue, and she thought she was safe in New York because that daughter hasn't lived in New York in a long time. She's always lived in Pennsylvania for a long time. And like days later, while my mother was in Bellevue, the daughter shows up without my mother telling her the name of the hospital she was in. And my mother was wondering how did the daughter get the address. Yes, my mother was suspecting it was a narcotic gang through the affiliation with the FBI that gave the daughter the address. And so it was trolling my mother in the hospital. She and her sister Flora, and telling the hospital to lock my mother up, that she's crazy, just to get her to die. Because my mother had high blood pressure and was trying to provoke her to get into a fight with the hospital. Because in that hospital, also they said they always inject black patients with medicine like ketamine that can cause your heart to seize. If they want to put you in the psych ward and you don't want to go, they say that hospital, is affiliated with Rikers Island prison. That's where they put the prisoners in, Bellevue Hospital. So they always treat people like prisoners. And my mother was in a Jewish hospital when she arrived from Pittsburgh, but I don't know why that hospital sent her to Bellevue. At that time there was Ebola. So a lot of private hospitals didn't want to deal with Africans. So I guess when they saw my mother was an African, they moved her to Bellevue. Because they said they were afraid of the African had Ebola, and a lot of the private hospitals didn't want to deal with any consequence of having a patient with Ebola and infecting the whole hospital. Maybe other patients would sue and claim that, maybe the other patients would sue and claim that, the hospital was negligent. So I guess they just transferred her to Ebola. So a lot of hospitals in New York were shipping African patients from anywhere to Bellevue just to make sure they don't have Ebola. Even though my mother never left America, she had a U.S. passport, she never left America. But they were shifting her to, they shifted her out to Bellevue, and they said that Bellevue was leaking patient information. There was a lawsuit also that was about to be filed, and they were leaking patient information to anybody. So all of a sudden my mother's daughter showed up and told them to lock her up. And they killed her during the process of locking her up in the psych ward. I guess they removed her breathing tube and killed her that way. And so since then, this Ericanum has been taunting me. I didn't have a mailing address after my mother was killed. So I used to tell people on the train that they should advise the mayor to set up a mailing address free mailing service for people that don't have mailing address. And then he set up a mailing service called Gold Locker. Gold Locker, like, was taunting my dead mother that daughters came here to New York to kill her. But they wouldn't help me. When I contacted the kind of the police, I'm a crime victim, help me, wouldn't help me. And at some point I said his name is Esther. My mother's name is Esther. I said his own name should be he's changing his own name to, like, say he wants me to think of him as Esther. And instead of helping me as a black American, he's just taunting me, which is kind of weird. They say it's close to the Garner family, and I guess they just don't want me to enjoy the fruit of the labor of black American civil rights activists like Martin Luther King, that passed the civil rights law, and they just want me killed by this police, want me to suffer. So this kind of, they say they call it gatekeeping, where people try to block you from opportunities, justice apparently, so my mother's daughter's gang are trying to get me harmed and removed and help the NYPD avoid any kind of being held accountability, and it's all about the money. You know, cause they feel if I get killed now, my mother's daughters can get the money since I don't have any other family. I don't have a child. I'm not married. And so if you die without a will, it's called dying intestate or something like that legally, and they'll just give your property to any family member alive. So I guess the Nigerian government is also excited about that. If I die, maybe some of the money will go to my mother's or my relatives in Nigeria. So they're not helping me. That this is human trafficking. Nobody should cover up a crime and allow the brutal police in America to kill a foreigner. You know, and just to share the inheritance money. It's an inheritance scam is very rife in America. The police park their car here. I don't know. Yeah, I said they should be locking up homeless as crazy. So I'll just flee. Even though I still want to record more stuff at the crime scene here. I don't know why they came and parked their car, even though they can see I'm still around. They have the police camera all around here. You know. So, and this Americano said they should be locking up homeless. And, there's so many people, they're afraid of being held accountable, they can make up stuff. So this is what they're doing. They're not helping crime victims, they're just victimizing because of homeless. And especially with this child Lemon, he works for Power 1051. He posted a video as soon as a black American almost jammed me on the floor with his body. He was a huge black American, in size, so I'm just free. So I haven't been able to sleep all night. I think that they're using black Americans to mass attack me. And there's laws against this. It's called anti-lynch law. It was signed by Biden in 2021 or 22. Kamala Harris, I guess, signed that law that says if a group of people is bothering somebody for no reason, they could be arrested for lynching. Even though you may not be able, you don't have to prove it's based on the person's ethnicity or race. Just a group of people bothering somebody for no reason. So they don't let me sleep at night. They don't let me use the bathroom. My heart is even hurting me right now. I'm just tired. So and the prosecutors is not helping me. So they need to link some of these prosecutors, like Ivan Bragg, as part of this lynch mob. And some of these lawyers like Benjamin Crump, it helps black Americans. He does news conferences, but as an African, it's treating me less. And it's turned to me with all these evidences. I guess to traumatize me some more. So this is what is going on. I'm trying to charge my phone over there. I can charge my phone. I've been recording for so long. So this is what is going on. And so the part about Trump's involvement. So Trump's friend was taunting me and my mother after my mother went and reported to WB11 News in 2010 that Airwatt is terrorist. And Bernard Kerrick was Trump's friend. And then me and my mother was getting followed in the shelter. The black Americans, some of them were playing songs like, they're being paid back. And they were taunting us. One of the shelter workers, HPD shelter 800, East Church Street, Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island. One of the shelter workers was a white guy, was saying, Nigerians like to eat people and stuff, which was, during the barrier front war, 1 million Nigerians died. Some of them died of starvation, and some of them had to eat their fellow human beings because they were so hungry. And they were just inciting violence against my mother, and there's no way a shelter worker should be making such disparaging remarks, about a shelter occupant that was supposed to help my mother get housing. And they finally kicked us out. My mother wants to live with her daughters, and daughters got killed. Poison and food blindly. And they told the hospital in New York, when my mother fled to New York, while suffering the effects of the poison. She was having bloody diarrhea. She couldn't breathe properly. And when my mother got to New York, after being poisoned, the daughters followed her and took her to the hospital to lock her up. And this Ricardo has been taunting me He created a gold locker mailing address for those that don't have mailbox. I said it's the new Esther. My mother's name is Esther. You know, so I'm trying to use the bathroom real bad, but the black Americans at the pencil shop will taunt me. I say you can have a bladder explosion and die, or colon explosion and die. So, this is a war crime, and this can be left to continue. So, the New York Bar Association, please, you have to do something about this Alvin Bragg. It's covering up war crime where a group of black Americans and some other people are trying to lynch me against the federal law. And please help me contact the court to assign a special prosecutor to help me. So some of the black Americans are hijacking justice. I can't use the bathroom. And so this is what I'm going through. And so they're bullying me, jumping. I'm just trying to charge my phone. So this is what I'm going through. And this is unsanitary, so people be aware that Africans are getting denied justice here, and if any of these World Cup participants have any problem as an African, this Alvin Bragg or any other black American may block them, this other may block them from getting justice. Yes, my passport has been stolen, my mother's all the immigration document was being stolen also. Even a Canadian security card was stolen in another shelter she went to before she finally fled to live with her daughters, and the daughters killed her. So we Africans can't even flee fast enough. So the part of Trump's involvement is this. So his friend Bernard Carrick was taunting at some people, was taunting at some people, I really need to use the bathroom. So I may get jumped at the Penn Station, but I really need to I don't want to mess up my pen. Then I'll be called crazy, for real. Because I was listening to ABC radio, and there was a lady that called on the phone. I said, we're already there, we're waiting. So the Penn Station bathroom closes at 5 a.m. So sometimes when I try to go to use the bathroom, they'll call the police officer, they're closing the bathroom early. But I need to use the bathroom. I don't want to mess up my pants. I'll be looking crazy for real. So whatever the person do to me in the bathroom, even my crotch is wiggly. I need to use the bathroom. So some other FBI surveillance, so most likely they would have got the update. I'm coming there, so whatever they plan to do to me in the bathroom. I don't want to make it like that. So this is barbaric torture. So the part of Trump's involvement is this. So Bernard Carrick is Trump's friend. I'm sorry if I sound gassy out loud. I've been trying to avoid using the bathroom. I'm really gassy. So I'm really sorry they're dehumanizing us Africans, treating us like slaves, and no way should the world keep quiet. Black on black hate and genocide is wrong. And this Eric Adam and this Alvin Bragg and this Benjamin Crumb, the world is to look into this as ethnic lynching, whereby they're withholding information that can get me justice and deny me justice. The police, the prosecutors don't help us. So the part of Trump's involvement is this. Is Bernard Carrick, is his friend, and it was the former Homeland Security chief. At the time, my mother was saying the NYPD is terrorizing black lives and immigrant life. So I'm so sorry my sound, if I sound funny. I'm trying to use the bathroom real quick. I'm trying to use the bathroom bad, and I'm very uncomfortable. So yes, that's the reason why I sound funny. So Bernard Carrick was the Homeland Security chief when my mother called the NYPD a terrorist, terrorizing black lives and immigrants. And she called them terrorists on WP11 News. And you must have watched that news around that 2010. And then he released a statement to the press that some people are losers that live in basement apartment. And after I released that statement as the Homeland Security chief, he said it's police NYPD has to deal with losers that live in different apartments with their child and things like that. They say police work is so stressful. I know there's Benjamin Crumb after they killed Eric Garner, saying some NYPD were running a t-shirt saying now they can breathe. It's like they were knocking Eric Garner. So, which will link it to that Bernard Curry Trump's friend. They say police work is like very stressful. They have to deal with losers and that live in basement apartment, with their child and things like that. So my mother was getting followed after that, after she caught them with 3 terrorists in 2010. And I was getting followed also. Then Eric Garner said it was going to help us, was getting followed, and they killed Eric Garner on July 17, 2014. As soon as I met him, at the same place where I met him, Bay Street and Victory Boulevard. And I was going to Black American Church Bernard Jordan Ministry at that time, and Black American preacher Bernard Jordan said the number 8 is a very important number. I was born on July 8th, and he said, even if a date is a double-digit date, like 1-7, God will hide it together to form 8. So July 17th is the same thing as July 8th. And they went and choked Eric Garner on July 8th. They said people that commit crimes always like to talk in codes. Because if they had killed him on July 8th, it would have been so apparent. They say even in prisons, people may refer to drug as pizza, use codes and tell their fellow criminals to bring pizza to prison, and the security guard would have already known if they intercept the phone call. So there may be drugs they are bringing to the prison and they will intercept it. So as soon as they killed Eric Garner, even my mother felt it was so suspicious and she marched. And soon after that, they kicked my mother out of the shelter she was staying in and forced her to go and stay with her daughter in Pennsylvania, where the daughter poisoned and killed her off. And the way that they kicked my mother out of the shelter, she was in a 39 shelter at that time. We had left the Brooklyn shelter. And said they told her they ran a medical test on her and said, she can't stay in the shelter anymore because she has a high blood pressure. So my mother always had a high blood pressure. And they told her she can't stay in the shelter. So my mother angrily left. I went and stayed with her daughters in Pennsylvania, and the drugs killed her. And the drugs kept aggravating her, killed her. So and then Trump became president, and he dropped the Eric Garner case from being filed in court. And he pardoned the Bernard Carrick from another corruption case. And they've now banned me from having stroller, so I'm having to pull a cart. And the cart, the stroller costs like $200, a cart is like $40. So it's much more convenient to push a stroller than the cart, because the cart gets easily destroyed. And they used to surround me in the train station anytime I push a stroller like this. They're just trying to get the police to kill me. And now I don't even have a stroller anymore, they still surround me. With the Black American workers at the train station call the police on me. It's a bad thing all the time. So and I said the Bernard Carrick may have been instrumental in calling the police to be arresting me and my mother. He has a lot of connection to the NYPD. And the police were also using civilians, even up to now, to arrest me and set me for arrest, like in this Baltimore. And they said Trump and the Attorney General dropped the Eric Garner case from being filed in court, which led to a mass protest. And while the protest was going on, the police also tried to choke me dead. And at that time, Trump brought his immigration director called Cuccinelli. So the name Cuccinelli is significant because the NYPD sexually abused me while they were kicking my mother out. And I used to tell my mother that in immigration prison, my prison number was 494, New York, which is Mandela's prison number. And before after the NYPD choked me and stole my green card, the USCIS director Cuccinelli was saying some of you We don't want poor immigrants in America anymore. I was begging for money when they choked me. The LYPD. I can't handle. So I said, was making fun of me. Like, you should have pressed statement. This could says, we don't want poor immigrants that can't stand on 2 feet. As they were choking me, I was trying to stand up and they were choking me so much. The videos on YouTube. And then Ricardo went to make fun of me after the choke on July 20, 2019. I heard there's another Ricardo for the choke on that same day, the LYPD. So they said tornado strike twice. So they choked me on July 20, 2019 and choked another Ricardo from July 20, 2019. So that's a purposefully choking. And I was calling 911 alone that the LYPD were tracking me anywhere I went to. So they were going to check on my property. As they were choking me, I was screaming, they were choking me, they wanted to take my property, And people were asking them to stop and support me. And as soon as anytime I come here, they always call the police on me. There was a day I came at the shop and they went over here. And I said my chest is heavy, they want to suck my chest. I said I'm a transsexual, I wear prosthetic breast. And they mocked me outside and told me like that. And so on September 9th, there was trains that collided here. On September, I said the LIR said they wanted to take increase. September 9th, they did remove my mother from my home roughly. So I guess to get Trump's attention, they've been trying to kill me in this station. Called the police over here while I'm suffering so my chest is still huge. I told them, yeah, I'm wearing a prosthetic breast. That's not a crime. So these are all the things I have to deal with. Sometimes we can't block the large store. So I don't have space. And I call the police and so leave the black man. They want to lock up the black man. So Trump didn't file the case, dropped the case from being filed by the FBI. They said they missed the deadline. They had all the evidence to charge the Ghana killer with death, with murder and stuff. But they said they forgot to file it. So I guess they didn't want the Ghana killer to snitch about Bernard Carrick's involvement. And since that Trump has been doing massive negotiation rates, threatening people with green cards like me, I guess to cause me to try to shut up. I believe a lot of black Americans are aware of the evidence, but they just don't want to release the evidence. They want me dead first, because they don't want me to enjoy the shit of their living as an African. And you can't block justice for against somebody because they're African. Sometimes people try to learn me to fake marriage and I tell them no. This is what it's coming on. So let's get it right.